February 25th City Council meeting. If everybody could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first in order is the Lewiston Youth Advisory Council update. If you could just introduce yourself.
Good evening. I'm Damon DeWitt. I'm the treasurer of the Lewiston Youth Advisory Council. Tonight, I'm filling in for the chair, Hope Rubito, because she has a schedule conflict. To start, on February 18th, Hope Rubito, Katie Morin, Ariana Valley, and I were guests on the Big Z local radio station and talked about our Listen Up Lewiston anti-bullying event that we are having this Friday, February 28th. As you know, LYAC has recently been focusing on many positives that Lewiston has to offer. However, due to the response we received last year when placing 1,700 positivity notes to include anti-bullying messages on all lockers at Lewiston High School, we really saw a need for a focus on helping to bully-proof Lewiston. As we brainstormed, we realized that 3 of us on the Youth Council had been bullied extensively, and we wanted to raise further awareness on the harmful effects of bullying and encourage different behaviors. We initially wanted to bring in a national speaker, but decided it would be more personal if local people were sharing with the community. We also did not have funds to bring in a national speaker. Friday's event will be at 6 p.m. at Geiger Elementary, 601 College Street in Lewiston. 3 LYAC members and 3 adult community members will be sharing their stories. In addition, Todd Finn, the superintendent of schools, will be sharing new anti-bullying plans within the school system. Also, bullying scenarios and audience discussion will be facilitated by LYAC members, and Karen Lane of Green Dot LA will do a brief presentation about standing against bullying. LYAC member Riley Emmert, who will be appointed here this evening as Lewiston's new Youth Poet Laureate, will read an inspiring poem. In addition, Miss Maine, Carolyn Brady, will be giving a call for kindness, and the event will end with the song You Will Be Found, which speaks to the issue of bullying. Resource information and handouts will also be on site if people want to address the issue of bullying that they or loved ones have experienced or are currently experiencing. Our next LYAC meeting is tomorrow, February 26th, and Deputy City Administrator Dennis Dote will be talking with us about doing some on-the-street interviews and filming during the upcoming bicentennial celebration on May 16th here in Lewiston, Auburn. Are there any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. As many of you know, one of the roles of mayor here in Lewiston is appointing folks to different committees or positions, and I've completed all of them except for one, and tonight I'm fortunate to say that I'm going to be appointing our Lewiston Youth Poet Laureate. And out of all my appointments, this is the one I actually feel the most excited about. After meeting with this person and her mom and just meeting her dad here tonight, this is going to be a great thing for our community. So, Riley, if you could, just join me over here to the side. Thank you. Council President LaJoy and City Councilors, this evening I have the privilege of announcing Lewiston's new Youth Poet Laureate. An honorary position established by the City Council to provide ongoing recognition to the creativity and accomplishments of Lewiston's youths, as well as acknowledging the value of arts in our community. Riley came to my attention after she won the Lewiston High School Poetry Out Loud competition, and I thought she might be the perfect fit for the 2020-22 Youth Poet Laureate. I met with Riley and her mom after receiving letters of recommendation from the Chief Academic Officer, Karen Parquette, Lewiston High School Principal, Jake Langless, and Lewiston Community Relations Coordinator, Dottie Parham-Whittier, who serves as the Youth Council Advisor, which Riley is a member of. What I did hear and read about Riley, that she has a love for writing, has discovered her talent, will do a wonderful job representing our city. She is well-spoken, courteous, a team player, and proud of her community, and will serve Lewiston with dignity and grace. Clearly, my instincts about Riley were spot on from everything that I've heard and read about her. As such, I'm proud to present to you Riley May Emmerich, Lewiston's new 2020-22 Youth Poet Laureate, who will perform an original poem for us tonight. Throughout her tenure, she will have the opportunity to participate in various city and school ceremonial occasions, and I look forward to seeing more of her over the next couple of years. Just a couple other brief things about Riley. She's a sophomore at Lewiston High School. She's currently the president of her class. She loves poetry. She a student of academic excellence, and she's an active member of the Youth Advisory Council. She participates in 8 extracurricular activities, including the mock trial, and all while working part-time. So, congratulations, and I think. So we have a certificate here for you, Riley, and then I'm going to provide you with the letters of recommendation, just so you can have when you start applying for college, if that's what you're going to do. I'll leave these right on the corner.
All right, thank you.
And then Dottie now is going to want to do a lot of pictures. So.
Okay. You want to speak right here, or where would you like to?
This is fine.
Sure. Great.
All right. Would you just like me to start?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Then we'll do pictures after.
All right. Sweet. Okay. So Mayor Kerr asked me to write a poem about community wellness for my very first poem shared with the city, and I'm very excited to read my poem for you. I apologize that I'm not 100% memorized tonight, and I do have to read because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I just wanted to make it as good as possible. So this is called You and I and Us All Together. You over there, perched under the disheveled elm tree in the park, holding your 50-cent cup of coffee that I can only assume doesn't taste good, but does the job at keeping you from becoming synonymous with the pile of frozen glaciers that you rest your fragile body upon. You over there keep glancing up at the night's dark sky with a glimmer of hope that fades in and out of your tired but longing eyes. A hope that fades in and out as you hope to become immersed in serenity and wrapped in a blanket of warmth. A hope that fades in and out as you are alone, perched under the disheveled elm tree in the park, until a hand reaches out to yours to smile at you, to guide you, to hold you. For that hand is there because if you and I and us all together are well as one, we are as prosperous as the lovely bird that spreads its wings for flight for the earliest time. Thank you.
Wow.
Do we want with you?
I'd like it.
Okay.
Please.
Forgot about this. Mark, can you just put the sign down? Or I can get it, yeah. Oh. Yeah, just get it out of the way, yeah. Is that what you're gonna do?
So we'll do one with Riley and I, and then maybe Mom and Dad, if they'd like to
Okay.
come out.
All right, ready? 1, 2, great. Let me do one more. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Mom and Dad, do you want to do a picture together? Sure.
Do you have a little brother?
Sure, yeah. Why not? I'll stand right next to the mayor.
Okay, everybody smile. You ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Got it. All right.
Thank you very much. Counselor Jensen just brought up that I have like 10 years to win over that person. Okay, we'll move to acceptance of the minutes.
Yes, and if I could, Counselor Clement pointed out that there was an error in vote number 44, that Counselor Pettengill actually voted against that particular item. So the minutes reflect 7-0. I double-checked the tape upstairs during executive session, and they're correct that Counselor Pettengill did vote against that item. So we will make that change for a 6-1 vote.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion with the amended minutes.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Counselor Clement, seconded by Counselor Pettengill. All in favor?
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, consent agenda.
Actually, do you want to do public comment period, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, please, yeah, thank you.
Public comment period. Any member of the public may make comments regarding issues pertaining to Lewiston city government. 3 minutes per speaker. Maximum time for all comments is 15 minutes.
Is there anyone who would wish to speak on something that's not on this agenda? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Councilors. My name is Richard Graham Mason. I live at 51 Jean Street. And last fall, prior to the election, I spoke to Mayor Ayer and other people that were looking for election to be elected about a community center in Lewiston. And the reason why I bring that up, the Armory is not really a community center because there are times was supposed to attend a meeting, we get there and the place is totally full for something else, a sports activity primarily. And even when we're there with meetings, we have to deal with basketball, volleyball and all that stuff, and there's all that noise. It's difficult to have meetings sometimes because of the echo that's going on in those rooms. So, and there are any number of nonprofit organizations that need places to meet, and it's difficult for them to have meetings when there aren't too many places to go. The Armory also has other issues. There's been times where only the front door in the middle is unlocked, yet there's a door to the right for an elevator that's always locked for the handicapped to be able to get up on the first floor. It's not a very convenient place. Parking is okay, but it's about meeting. And I remember mentioning about Westbrook. They did a community center a couple of years ago, and it's fairly successful from what I'm told. And so I just want to put this on your minds to think about. It's not going to happen overnight, and I understand that. But we really need a decent community center. The multipurpose center worked fairly well at one time, but then that got taken over by the schools. So, I think we still need to think about some sort of a community center. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Thank you. Consent agenda.
The consent agenda will consist of 6 items this evening. Item number 1, authorization to accept transfer of forfeiture funds. Item number 2, recommendations from the city clerk, registrar of voters on actions necessary to conduct the presidential primary election to be held on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020. Item number 3, order authorizing the Public Works Department to prohibit vehicles of a gross vehicle weight greater than 23,000 pounds from traveling on certain roads for the period from March 2nd, 2020 to May 1st, 2020. Item number 4, order taking possession of the following properties and authorizing that they be offered for sale through the competitive bid process: 1028 Sabata Street, 154 Golder Road, 76 Switzerland Avenue, 42 Reiki Street, 4 Wicklow Place, 8 Dumas Avenue, 2 Roslyn Street, 1132 Sabata Street, and 17 White Avenue. Item number 5, resolve adjusting the penalties established by policy for the rental registration ordinance for failure to register, delaying penalties for 1 month for the first year of the program. And item number 6, appointment to the Voter Registration Appeals Board.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Ray, seconded by Counselor LaJoy. All in favor?
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Agenda item number 7.
Item number 7, public hearing on application for a new liquor license and special amusement permit for live entertainment for LA Arts, 221 Lisbon Street. Requested action to authorize the city clerk's office to approve a new liquor license application and special amusement permit for LA Arts, 221 Lisbon Street.
Okay, I'll open this up. Is there any questions or comments from the council? If not, I'll open this up for the public hearing. Any comments? Okay, back to the council.
We do need a motion, Mr. Mayor.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
So moved by Counselor Ray, seconded by Counselor Pettingill. Any other comments or questions from the council? Call the roll.
Counsel from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Agenda item number 8.
Item number 8, public hearing on the renewal application for a special amusement permit for live entertainment for the Franco-American Heritage Center, 46 Cedar Street. Requested action to grant a special amusement permit for live entertainment to Franco-American Heritage Center, 46 Cedar Street.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Ray, seconded by Counselor Jensen. Any comments or questions from the council? I'll open it up to the public. Back to the council. Call the roll.
Counsel from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Agenda item number 9.
Item number 9, public hearing and final passage regarding an amendment to the business licensing ordinance regarding the adoption of the state of Maine rules for food service establishments, special food handlers, mobile units, and Class A lounges. Requested action that the proposed amendment to the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22 Businesses, Article 6, Food Service Establishments, special food handlers, mobile units, and Class A lounges receive final passage by a roll call vote.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Counselor Clement, seconded by Counselor LaJoy. Any questions or comments from the council? I'll open up the public hearing. Back to the council. Call the roll.
Counselor from Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, and agenda item number 10 and 11 have been postponed till the March 3rd meeting.
Yes, thank you.
All right, agenda item 12.
Item number 12, order authorizing the city administrator to enter into negotiations for the disposition of the former Martel school property. There are several items for requested action. The first item is to review and discuss the proposals submitted for this project, and no motion is needed.
Okay, so with the council's permission, I'd like to go directly to the public for comments, and then we'll bring it back to the council for discussion. And there is a motion needed eventually on this, though, correct? Right.
Right.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to open up public discussion. I would ask folks state their name, what ward they're in at minimum. Try to be brief and non-repetitive of other people ahead of you. And I think there is a time limit of 3 minutes. Good evening.
Good evening, Ronnie Parody, 82 Prospect Avenue, and I'm here to ask you to support Martel School to be a senior housing. And I have many reasons for it. First of all, I'm a senior, and I'm worried about where I go when I can't build in a house, and many of my friends are also concerned about that. But give you a little history. We need to be an age-friendly community. Did you know that Auburn has been designated as an age-friendly community, and Lewiston hasn't? Biddeford and Saco has been designated as an age-friendly community. In October, Governor Mills designated Maine as an age-friendly state where all ages can stay active and connected, and that's very important for seniors, and be able to maintain a quality of life. Some other facts. We know that older Americans are at greater risk for social isolation, which can lead to physical illness, depression, and even dementia. This is why we need senior housing and places where seniors can congregate. Now, what I did is read livability. There's 8 domains of livability that came from AARP, and when I did research. 1, outdoor spaces and buildings. 2, transportation. If we had senior housing at Martel School, we're up there, it's on the bus line. Housing, livability housing and affordability housing. Social participation. Seniors need social participation. We need to live, and they need, if they can't drive a car, they need other people around them that enjoy what they enjoy. Respect and social inclusion. We put seniors out in the social isolation, civic participation and employment, communication and information, community and health services. These are the 8 domains that we need in our city. We need senior housing, and we need it in that area. The only place off East Avenue or above East Avenue for senior housing is Middleview. Look at that. I live in that area, and many seniors, I've talked to seniors, they want senior housing. We want age-friendly community. Please concentrate on that. Downtown has been concentrated on, and I'm not saying anything about downtown, but it's about time the outer areas and seniors are looked at. We have given a lot to our city, and I have given, and many of the seniors I know in this area have given their whole life to the city and have paid taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, councilors, I'm at Roy Ward 6. All right, let's give a historical timeline to this process in the last 4 months. Last fall, the school committee deemed that the former Martel School not to have a education of value tendered over the city. Last November, that city council created an council order establishing 6 criteria now for an RFP process. 3 RFP proposals came back. Only one of those proposals actually met all 6 criteria in some fashion, and that is the Losing Housing Authority Avesta Housing proposal. Secondly, it's also consistent with the last 2, at least the last 2 comprehensive plans adopted by previous city councilors, and as Ms. Parody pointed out, there is a supply issue, which this would start to address. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Lisa Rodriguez, current Share Center Director, and I would just like to say that I agree exactly with what they're saying, and that I agree that we do need a community center hub, a multi-purpose center, and that's what I would like to see established at Martel. We've already seen an incredible benefit to the community, including the Lewiston department, being able to come access the center and take in valuable materials and furniture that they've been using. I have more letters of support from Bowdoin College and all that we've been able to help them with. I also have a letter of support from Tri-County Mental Health that they would like to see, again, a community center, a community health hub that could help benefit their clients. I have another letter of support from Patricia Gautier that believes that the Martel building be in its location, we'd be perfect for a rec department to extend the after-school programs, summer programs, senior gatherings, and more sports opportunities for the city of Lewiston. The building has expanded classroom space, an already existing gym and kitchen that could be used for these programs, and then the vital green space for more rooms, an area that could potentially be used by other nonprofits. Unfortunately, as nonprofits go, we end up being in competition with one another. It's where it would be great if we could have more of a collaboration where we could work together to use this space, to use this building. I would love to see the potential of an intergenerational type community center. There's been reports that show the benefit of older people and younger people coming together, teaching each other, breaking down the barriers and discrimination, not only for that, but for other races, and having a community center could bring all of us together to establish that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any others wishing to speak? Okay, if not, I'll bring it back to the council and entertain a motion to begin discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Councilor Clement.
I would move that the city administrator is hereby authorized to enter into negotiations with the Lewiston Housing Authority / Avesta Housing for the acquisition of the former Martel school property, to return to the city council to review and seek approval of the final transaction agreement.
Second.
That's moved by Councilor Clement, seconded by Councilor Ray. And I'll open up for discussions or questions from the council. Councilor Clement.
Mr. Mayor, being a new councilor, this is probably one of the, well, it is the most communication that I've received concerning council business in my time on the council. Fully 75% of the people that have contacted me have indicated a strong feeling for the Avesta housing proposal. My last call was this morning about 11:30 from a lady who promised to be brief, and 23 minutes later, I think she had switched from what she had originally asked for to the Avesta housing. So I still say 75% because she started out asking for something else and then did come in with an agreement that Avesta would be a good thing. I think their proposal is solid. I think it's a good business decision for the city. Particularly, I like the fact that they're willing to put in writing that they will agree to keep the property on the tax rolls in perpetuity, which I think is important. That's a significant piece of property out there, and I would hate to see it just drop away. And
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as some folks spoke in support, I just wanted to highlight a couple other items. So this bid proposal definitely hit most of the requirements of the RFP process that was set by a different council, but just seeing that spirit carried forward was really important for me. In addition to what Councilor Clement was talking about in terms of citizen outreach, I also have had so many phone conversations in the past couple of weeks about this property and what we were going to do with it, and it was overwhelming support for the LHA and Avesta pieces. So I just wanted, even though we only heard from a couple folks tonight, there was a lot of outreach that happened outside of this. One question that I just had was on, can I ask a question now?
Sure.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm going to. Is if we could, again, talk about the playground on the property and who's going to manage that going forward as part of this process?
They proposed two options. One was for the city to retain the back portion of the lot and to rezone the front portion to allow the same number of units to be built as if they owned the entire property. The second option was a recreation easement granted to the city. That would be our recommendation, so that we wouldn't have to change the zoning. They could get the number of units that they are planning on. We would have rights to, we and the public would have rights to recreate on the back part of the property.
Great. And again, this was such a fully fleshed out proposal that really addressed a lot of our concerns, especially taxability in perpetuity. So excited to vote for this and see that school return to what it should be as a community hub.
Thank you, Councilor Ray. Councilor Jensen.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I just wanted to share my thoughts on how kind of got to where I am right now. Keep it brief, I promise. Just considering the three proposals, the building really played into my thinking. When I served on the school committee, I was the facility subcommittee chair, and we had the responsibility of going through Martel, figuring out what other uses could be done with the building, and if the school department wanted to keep the building itself and the property, or give it back over to the city. The last year of Martel as a school was not a great one as far as facilities go. Staff members having to use porta potties out back, a lot of mold issues, so it was not great. The school did just kind of get to the very end where it needed to be. And so it was unanimous vote to give it to the city. We really felt no use for it. Considering the state of the building, I would be very hesitant for the city to take on ownership of that building because I can almost guarantee it would require a lot of money to fix up the next issue that pops up and to make it a permanent location. So any solution of the city taking ownership of it, the building itself, to me is just a non-starter, unfortunately. It's just too much of a liability for the people of Lewiston and the city itself. So for that reason, I wasn't able to support the Sheriff Center proposal. But I do want to put a plug in that they do desperately need space and can always use more space. So if there's anyone in the community that you have a business, you have empty space that you can use, please reach out to the Sheriff Center. Reach out to Lisa or one of us and we can get you in touch. It would really, really go far to help the organization. Now, considering the Gendron proposal and the Avesta LHA proposal, Lewiston does need to focus on economic development, and it's something that a lot of us said when we ran for office here. So I don't want to get in the habit of giving up a high priority, potentially good development area for something like housing. But when we look at the parameters of where we're at a city right now, to me it makes a lot of sense to do the housing project. But it's not like a solid, yes, this is definitely it. Some of the issues I see with any potential development is that it could stall, it could take a while, it might not take off. We don't know what's going to be there. Not everybody wants to maybe see a new store that opens up. We're not sure what it would be, so there's some questions there too. Probably be worth more value, but again, a lot of questions in regards to that. Thinking about the Avesta project, we absolutely do need more housing in the state of Maine, and particularly in this area. The people of Lewiston have been very, very loud about that. The senior citizens in the community have been outspoken on that. So that, to me, is this is really community-driven. There's been a lot of community support for it. Any message that I've received about this has only been in favor of the Avesta project. But I do have some concerns about it, of course. So with the Avesta project, it's not just Lewiston residents that are going to get housing. I don't think we have that as a requirement. I don't think we can do it. If anybody from the state, potentially out of state, I don't know. So to say this is just for Lewiston senior citizens, not true. I do think it's the state's responsibility to step up and deal with the housing issue, and they are not, as Augusta. But again, if we can do something to help, that's good. But I do want to make it clear that it's not the city's responsibility to solve the state's housing crisis, and municipalities do not have the funding to do so. Another issue is, I know in the last couple of years we've had some people who have been hit and killed by cars in that stretch of Lisbon Street. So I just would have concerns about the way traffic is set up now and potentially some residents crossing East Ave to get to CVS. Just with traffic that is a concern I absolutely have. So I'm not sure how that could be addressed going forward. And then potential cost issues. I believe it was the representative from Avesta had mentioned that if they did run into any extra cost issues that weren't anticipated, that they may go to the city, ask for any grants or additional funding, something like that to help out. So I do have some concerns that it may take a little bit more money than what's anticipated for this project. And then it may end up sitting for a little bit longer, and big concern of mine is visibility and cleaning up that area, that property. The building can't stay the way it is now. It just can't. Something's either got to be done with it, renovated, or it's got to be torn down. So the Avesta project can get that done, but I worry that potential cost issue is going to drag that out, and it's just going to keep affecting visibility. So there was a lot that went into this, and I know every single one of us probably struggled at different points with this. Considering everything, I don't want to overlook economic development in the city, and that is a really good location. But given where we are as a city, I think that the Avesta project is the best solution. And with that, I will hand it back.
All right. I would like to add, this is economic development, actually. I think it's putting a property on the tax rolls. The payback, taxes-wise, is relatively close to if a commercial development was on that property. There'll be jobs, I think, through the development of the property, through the maintenance of the, I mean, there is jobs, so I look at this as economic development. One quick question that I have, Ed, is when this proposal was presented, they mentioned the possibility of creating some type of senior center there that could be utilized by the community and their residents. I just want to, should this pass, I just want to make sure through the negotiations that we start
It will
having
certainly
those.
be something that we will discuss with them, and clearly, through those discussions, we'll have something that we'll bring back to the council in terms of a formal agreement. So at this point, it's simply an authorization to negotiate. We'll obviously have to see what those negotiations entail and where they end up.
Okay, good, thank you. Good points, Councilor Jensen. Any other,
I just want to say, after listening to you, I actually do agree. It is development. I was thinking more business in line, but
Yeah.
I absolutely understand you.
any other councilors? Councilor Pettingill.
Just to kind of echo the sentiments, I've had a lot of back and forth with this. It is non-traditional business development or economic development. And to Councilor Jensen's point, my biggest concern with this being a housing development is the amount of traffic that does flow through the Lisbon Street, East Avenue streets down there. So pedestrian safety is a big factor down there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Khalid.
Thank you. Just a few remarks. I wanted to, in the city we need affordable, high quality, decent, safe housing, especially for our senior citizens. And the Avesta housing, Lewiston housing definitely addresses that. But it also addresses other benefits that, we can get, especially with, I'm about, communication and understanding between all people, and the city retaining the playground is definitely a highlight for me, where we can, develop that playground, but also, have community members use that playground, and seniors even use that playground, and just, interact with the public. So that's definitely a highlight for me. The other thing is, development too. It's, something that I campaigned on, and this, with the tax income, that's, something that the city needs, as well as infrastructure development. And of all those benefits, where it is, the location, where, it's, an intersection, that's, definitely something we can look more into and make it safer for the seniors. But other than that, it's, very convenient. Shaw's is right there. CVS is across. It's the perfect location. So with that, I'm very supportive of the Avesta development.
Thank you. Councilor Jelinas.
Mr. Mayor, I, this is in my ward, Ward 7, so very interested in that area for sure. I was very impressed with the proposal that the Avesta Group came forward with, and I think about when people come into our city and they get off the turnpike and they're driving down Lisbon Street. I mean, that's one of the corners they see right away. So I think that's really important. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Barrett, if you could confirm, there was some talk about the possibility of the Share Center being able to use space. Could you
Yeah, I think
speak to
it's
that?
clear that it's going to take a while for this deal to be put together, and I know that we are certainly willing to continue to let the Share Center continue to use that space.
Okay.
It's hard to say for exactly how long that would be, but certainly I think in the proposal it was at least 18 months or so. So there will be a period of time for them to continue to operate there, and hopefully, as I think Councilor Jensen said, we'll have some other people come forward and pick up the slack and find some other places that they might be able to use.
Right, space that's more accessible and not so far out, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councilor Joy.
Yes, I've been listening to all the comments, and I agree on both sides. I agree with the traffic that is there, and especially for senior citizens. They may have to do something with the traffic light crossing of some sort, whether putting a time delay on it or what have you. I've seen that in other states that I've traveled in. I guess the biggest reason also is that the eventuality, I will become a senior citizen myself. And I think that would probably be a good spot to look into when I'm ready to release my property. So with that, I do agree with everyone that that seems to be the most ideal position or individuals to own that property and make something out of it, because I think it will be, it'll progress very well, and I think it'll mean a lot for the city of Lewiston. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor LaJoy. Any other, Councilor Khalid?
One more comment. I would like for the development to consider keeping the name Martel, and I think it's, it definitely has a history to it, and we should, continue to keep that alive. So, just a suggestion.
Thank you. Any other final questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor
I believe in
Fleming.
the original proposal that Augusta made, they indicated that they would like very much to continue the legacy of Dr. Martel on the property and associate their project with that.
Okay.
And keep the legacy of the school in their plans.
Good, thank you for reminding us of that. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I just want to acknowledge the council here, because, this is one of our more, since we've been a council, this is one of, it brought a little, tension, discussion, input from the public, and the process that we worked through this is just a sign of what's to come from this council, and I expect a whole lot more good things. With that, I'll call the roll.
Counselor from Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Absolutely, yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Agenda item number 13.
Item number 13, order authorizing the city administrator to negotiate with an unnamed developer for the transfer and redevelopment of the pump house at 49 Beach Street. Requested action to approve the order authorizing the city administrator to negotiate with an unnamed developer for the transfer and redevelopment of the pump house at 49 Beach Street.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor LaJoy. Any questions or comments from the council? To the public? Back to the council? Oh,
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry. You got to be quick here,
Good evening. My name is Rachel DeGrosier. I'm the founding executive director of Museum LA, and I believe you received a letter that we wrote with regards to the fact that the museum, was interested also in negotiating with the city in acquiring that piece of property. We're not doing this to put a kibosh to what has been started and whatnot. However, we have in the past years been doing a lot of work down there, and whatever happens down there is going to be of great importance to the museum. And we've developed a whole site plan that we're finalizing right now that, because of the work that we had done with the city administrators and Public Works and the planning department, we'd like to make sure that we have an opportunity to be truly involved more than involved in that process. It was kind of a surprise since we have been working with the city on developing the site down there, to be called and just all of a sudden say that they're selling the piece of property that we had been working to hopefully acquire and work with for down the road. So I'm not sure where it goes from here. I know you're planning on, it says that you're going to be working on negotiating with the developer. And so we just want to say that we have a good working relationship with the city. We've always, come out with doing a lot of great things, but we were taken a little bit by surprise. But the fact that I'm the only one here this evening shows that we do believe in what you're doing and we want to be part of it. We didn't feel that we had to bring a whole slew of people to talk one after the other. So please take into consideration the letter that we've presented to the city council along with what you're talking about tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And I want to reassure you that every discussion that we've had as a council or individuals who have spoken to Ed, Museum LA has been brought up in part of that discussion. So, and it will continue that way. So thank you very much. Any other public comment? Back to the council. Councilor Jelinas.
Rachel, I wanted to just thank you for your comments. We appreciate the work that you're doing in this community, and we are definitely going to be taking everything that you said to heart. Thank you for coming tonight.
Any other questions or comments from the councilor? Councilor Ray.
For Finance Director Hunter, it looks like the Finance Committee voted 4-1 on this property. Could you speak, was that part of the 49 Beach Street or the other two? Because it seems like everything was taken into consideration together.
Yes, the 49 Beach Street.
And could you share the reasons why someone may have dissented?
Basically, they did not feel they had enough information.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Basically, if I might address that question, Mr. Mayor, the negative vote on the Finance Committee that night was due to the fact that the name of the developer that had contacted the city would not be released.
Okay.
That was the only reason.
Thank you.
All right, and for the public's record, the city council is aware of the developer's name. So it's just at this time they wish to remain anonymous. That will be for a very brief period once we start the negotiation process. So I just wanted to make sure the public doesn't think that the council's not even aware of it. We are well aware of who this developer is, and I think the community will be excited once a proposal is negotiated. All right, any other, Councilor Clement?
If I might, Mr. Mayor, just for the concerns of Museum LA, it would be my understanding that any negotiation would come back to the council with a specific proposal. No action would be taken until that time. And by that time, the world will know what's going to be going on. And I do think, based on the discussions and the negotiations thus far, I feel like the little guy that's sitting here, I've got a secret and I can't tell, but it is exciting, and I think people will be behind it. And I specifically think that Museum LA will appreciate what is being proposed if it comes to fruition.
Good.
I know we're saying we're from the government, trust us, but that's the position we're in right now, so.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Counselor from Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Agenda item number 14.
Item number 14, order authorizing the acceptance of Doe Run as a public street. Requested action to approve the order authorizing the acceptance of Doe Run as a public street.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Ray, seconded by Councilor LaJoy. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Ray?
Could we hear from the Director of Public Works on this? A brief overview.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, you absolutely may. Dale Dowdy, Director of Public Works. The Doe Run is a small development out off Deer Road. It's about 790 feet long. The road has been constructed, all but a few items, and I'll talk about those in a second. 2 homes have been built there that are either at completion or near completion. The developer, Glenn Doobie, would like to get occupancy permits, but for him to get occupancy permits from code, the road needs to be accepted by Public Works, or by the council under the recommendation of Public Works. Let's see. The road is nearly complete. There's only a few things left to be done. Surface pavement needs to be placed, 1 inch of surface pavement over the entire road. Grading and seeding of the inslopes. Catch basins and manhole covers will need to be reset for the new pavement height. The street sign and some lighting needs to be done. So if you were to move forward with this recommendation to accept the road and an easement that I'll talk about in a moment, the contractor will put up a surety as a letter of credit of $50,000 that they will need to complete those final improvements that I just listed by August 15th of this summer. If those are not completed, we'll recall that letter of credit. We think, Jeff's done an estimate for me, and we think that's a mid-30s to complete that work, given today's prices. The reason for the 50 is the uncertainty in prices we've all been talking about, but we believe we'll have plenty of funding if the contractor for some reason defaults on his obligation. There's also, in your packet, a sewer easement. There's another street that in the future, as it's developed, will be back at some point, but that street needs to have a sewer easement underneath it. So they're gonna give us a easement for sewer purposes, maintenance today. That same exact description would be the description of what's called Fawn Lane, which will be an addition into the future. I don't know if I hit all the points or not, but.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Public Works Director? Any other questions or comments? To the public? Back to the council. Call the roll.
Counselor from Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7 to 0.
Okay, agenda item number 15.
Item number 15, receipt of recommendations from the Finance Committee and the Planning Board on the fiscal year 2021 Lewiston Capital Improvement Plan budget. Requested action to receive and review the recommendations from the Finance Committee and the Planning Board regarding the fiscal year 2021 Lewiston Capital Improvement Plan.
Okay. Moved by Councilor LaJoy,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Clements. Did you want to say anything? I mean, the council's received their recommendations. We've reviewed them.
The way this process works, as you know, is that at this point, the council is going to be considering the capital improvement plan. Approval of the capital improvement plan does not constitute authorization of the projects that are included in the capital plan. Though that process occurs later through the natural budget process and then the actual bond order that will most likely be in front of the council in May. At this point, we've relayed to both the Finance Committee and the Planning Board how the process works and assured them that their recommendations will certainly be considered as the council makes its final decisions. I don't know if you need me to go through all of the recommendations in the agenda as it's put forth, but they basically have recommended some areas that the council may wish to take a look at for reducing the proposed capital plan, and have also made some recommendations as to the Finance Committee in particular, supporting the continuation of the 80% bonding limit in terms of bond authorizations.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments to the public? Back to the council. And so do we have to take a vote on the receipt? Call the roll, please.
Counselor from Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
And Ward 3?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7 to 0.
Agenda item number 16.
Item number 16, resolve adopting the fiscal year 2021 Lewiston Capital Improvement Plan. Requested action that pursuant to Article 6, Section 607D of the City Charter, the City Council hereby approves the resolve adopting the fiscal year 2021 City of Lewiston 5-year capital improvement program as prepared by the City Administrator.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Ray, seconded
Second.
by Councilor Pettingill. It's okay. I spoke over him. Any questions or comments from the council? To the public? Back to the council. Call the roll.
Counselor from Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Ward 7?
Yes.
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote of 7 to 0.
Agenda item number 17, reports and updates. Councilor Ray.
Getting to my notes, sorry, big packet tonight. School committee, we met on Saturday, February 22nd. We talked through Robert's Rules of Orders and Parliamentary Procedure, as well as the FY20 budget. We reviewed it with past members and talked about how we would like the FY21 budget presented to us. Our budget meetings start on Monday, so we'll hear some more by then. We also met last night. Some items that we heard updates on were the 21st Century Summer and After School Program, which is a great program offered through Lewiston Public Schools at 4 of the elementary maybe 3 of the elementary schools, now that I'm thinking about it, the middle school and the high school. We heard about social and emotional learning. We heard about the technology department and their vision and plans, and then we approved administrator contracts as well as directors. Just in relation to the LYAC presentation earlier tonight, we will be reviewing policy JICK, which is our bullying policy, at the policy subcommittee meeting on March 5th. And also, I would just second and encourage attendance at the LYAC event on Friday night at 6 p.m. at Geiger School for the bullying panel.
Thank you. Any other reports?
Mr. Mayor, could we just share an election update for the benefit of the public?
Sure.
So Tuesday, March 3rd, which is this coming Tuesday, we do have a statewide election. It is the presidential primary and special state referendum election. The presidential primary voters will need to be enrolled in either the Democratic Party or the Republican Party and will receive those ballots accordingly. Every single registered voter will receive one referendum ballot. There's only one question on the ballot. It's the people's veto for the repeal of the new law regarding immunization. We do want to let folks know that all voting citywide will take place at Longley School, which is across the street from the Colisee on Birch Street. This is similar to what the city does when we hold mayoral runoff elections in December, if needed. So all voting on Tuesday will take place at Longley Elementary School. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. And for folks who are interested in voting early and obtaining an absentee ballot, the statewide deadline to order an absentee ballot is this Thursday at 4 p.m. The city clerk's office will be open tomorrow night, Wednesday night, until 7 p.m. to allow voting and voter registration should anyone be interested in coming down until 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Look, if you could, Councilor Jensen.
Yes, I just wanted to let the community know that on the Waste and Recycling and Waste Reduction Committee, excuse me, we are coming up with a survey to go out to the community, and right now we're at the point of next Monday putting the survey together. So if anyone in the community has any input as to what kind of questions they would like to see asked, feel free to reach out to myself, Joshua Najeen, who's the committee chairperson, or Megan Bates down at Public Works, who's the city staff designee.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett.
Just a quick reminder that we are doing our planning session, council planning session this coming Saturday, and Janet sent out a quick request to each of you to indicate what you would like to eat. So if you don't respond, you're going to get whatever we come up with. So I suggest you take a minute and respond so Janet knows what to order.
Okay, we know our priorities here. Anything else?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Clement.
The Finance Committee has a subcommittee, a site review selection committee for the police department assessment and needs study. We have met with 5 different proposals on that. We interviewed what we thought were the top 2. We have selected one of those. It'll be going to the entire Finance Committee at their coming meeting this coming Monday, at which time the identity of the firm that we've chosen, if it's approved, will be released, and we'll be on our way to solving what we view as a major concern for the community.
Very good, thank you. Anything else? Okay, agenda item number 18, any other, do you read that normally?
I can,
Sure.
certainly. Any other city business counselors or others may have relating to Lewiston city government.
All right. What's normal? Do you typically read that, or does the mayor read that?
Either way.
Okay.
I think it's done
So
both ways.
I'm not gonna get an answer. All right, is there anything, any councilors want to add to that agenda item? Okay, if not,
Sorry, I was late.
no, go ahead.
So just to make the public aware, there's been a conversation happening via email about City Hall hours. And so it sounds like we might want to workshop that at some point about the availability of being in this building outside of 8:30 to 4 p.m. for those who are working. Just a suggestion.
So that the email that I received, I encouraged her to come at the start of our budget process to share, and then I thought we would discuss it during the budget process, but would you, as a counselor, rather have that workshop versus the?
It really is going to need to be during the budget process.
Okay.
We're right at it now. We don't really, would be pushing it to try to get it done, and plus there are other implications that need to be discussed in a separate forum.
My question is just, will there be, would you allow public comment on that part of the budget when it's presented then? Because I think that's who we need to hear from.
So I'm going to encourage this person to come when our budget is presented that evening, and then there'll be public comment period that time, and that's when I'm going to suggest that. And then I think as a council, we can decide where we go from there. Is that okay?
Right, and I'll just remind everyone that wages and hours are subject to bargaining, and our contracts have certain provisions in them, and making a change would require going through negotiations.
Well worthy of the discussion, though, because we hear this constantly from the public about the hours. So. But we've had this discussion several times, so, over the years.
Yeah, and I don't know that we need to get into it a whole lot tonight, but there are some obvious concerns that, particularly with the turnover we've had in our workforce, a lot of the employees we've hired recently have childcare responsibilities. And so extending into the evening hours can create difficulties, so that's one of the issues that comes up.
All right, thank you. Okay, so agenda item 19 has already been dealt with.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, folks.